I've worked out the mute button. All right, let's go. All right, guys, I'm super excited to be running this class today. I do talk fast, so stand up at any stage if you think I'm going too fast. Better yet, probably type that in the chat box. I'm flicking through screens. I can fit 9 people at a time on my screen. So, no, I like to fit through 2 screens. All right, a little bit of background about me. I'm a salesman by trade, and then from salesman into sales trainer. Everything that I've ever sold has always come at full price. So there's things that I have picked up on in the sales world that maybe others haven't in regards to how to sell things. So I've never been able to discount. And so I've learned things like people will complain a lot and yell and scream and say, why can't I have a discount? And there's really nothing I could do about it. So I just have to stand there silently and wait for them to choose, well, what I thought not to buy since they were objecting, right? But only to find that they were complaining because they bought it anyway. And also discovered that that's actually how we behave all the time. And so I'm going to uncover a few things as we go. But here's how it is. How to sell tomorrow when you know you didn't sell today. Bit of a problem because it works really hard on your mind. So I just want you to write this down first. Tradition. Write that down. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't make it right. So tradition. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't make it right. Now, this is really important for you to understand because I'm going to be talking about, I believe that everybody has had some sort of sales training. You've either learnt it in a book, you've done some sort of course, you've done it by accident, whatever it is. You've done some sort of training, and majority of people that do sales training, let's say 98% of people who do sales training still fail to sell on the other side of it. And that's because sales training doesn't cover sales anxiety. Sales anxiety comes because stuff costs money, and of course it makes us salesmen anxious. Right? So there's a difference in sales now. And so therefore there's a difference in sales training. And I teach what I call new age sales training compared to the traditional sales training. Traditional sales training was fantastic before Google. New age sales training is what we need since Google. I'll just give you one of the quick examples. An example of traditional sales training is this. For the salesman, ask really good questions so you can qualify your client and sell them the right thing. Put your hand up if you agree with that or if you've heard that before. Yep. So that's traditional sales training, right? That was before Google. And that was when customers didn't know how to get all of their information, so they went over to a salesman to get the information from the salesman. Since Google, who's experienced this? The customer seems to know everything and isn't interested in hearing the salesman's thoughts and opinions, right? So new age sales training teaches the only person with good questions is the customer. You see, there's a real difference. Before it was the salesman, now it's the customer. Before traditional sales training, salesman asked questions, customer answered. Now, new age, well, if you as a salesman decide to ask questions, the customer tends to back up and go, I don't know why you're asking these questions and I don't want to share. So they get very fussy about being questioned. All right, so that's what I mean about tradition. Just because it was always done that way before doesn't mean it's going to be that way moving forward. So I will probably change up a couple of things and muck around your brain a little bit, change up a few things on how you've seen things before, and that's okay. It'll probably hurt a little bit, but that's okay. We'll all get past it, right? So here we go. It comes down to this. If you didn't sell today, but you want to sell tomorrow, you still do want to sell, but you haven't sold anything today. First off, we need to look at what sales is. Sales is nothing short of a math problem, right? If you sold one thing every day, Paulina, if we sold one thing every day at the end of the year, how many sales will we have made?
365.
365, that's right. If we sold one thing every day, weekday of the year, Adam, can you tell me how many sales we will have made?
It's 240 something.
We'll go with 250. Let's go with 250 being 50 times 5, 50 weeks, 5 times a week, right? So we'll go with that, right? So 250 sales. All right, quick question. Who would be happy with 365 sales over the course of the year? Just put your hand up. Bernice is going too many. Well, the opportunity for 365, I hear what you're saying. But would you be happy with it, or do you need double that? Just a quick question. Put your hand up who needs double, and I'm just flicking back and forth through screens. Who needs 730 odd sales? Sandra does. She needs 730 sales, right? Right. So another question is, would you be happy with 250 sales? Right. Put your hand up if you're happy with 250. Just put your hand up. So, and Sandra, a sale might be client. Right. So I'll ask that way. Who'd be happy with 250, collecting 250 clients this year? Just put your hand up. You'd be happy, right? So it equals one a day. Hey, let's give us the weekend off, right? Let's look at just one a day, every day for a year, and see what happens. Who's a networker? Who's been coming out? Who comes out networking pretty regularly? No, I do. I've done it for 11 years. All right. Yeah, Bernice is on and off. I'm just looking at some other hands. We'll go to the next screen. Who's new to networking? Just pop your hand up if you're new to networking. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if selling is a math problem, it really comes down to this. You only need to sell one a day, every day for a year. Let's say weekdays, we give the weekends off, to make 250 sales. So we don't have to do a heap of work. We only have to do one bit of work. So then it comes down to, how do we work this out? First, you need some sort of tracking device. If you can't see it, you can't do it. So a tracking device becomes really, really simple. I'm going to find something right here. I don't know if you probably can't see on my back. So I have a tracking device just here. It is called an A4 piece of paper with the numbers. Well, these ones say 176 down to 200, right? Next page is 201 down to 225, right? So it's just a piece of paper with numbers, 25 numbers on each page. When you make a sale, you write it in. And it doesn't matter how much it is. So if you have a tracking device, you can make the sale. Without the tracking device, you can't see what you've done, right? So name goes in, the date, how much it was, right? Let's take me. I do coaching sessions for $25 each. I sell my book for $30. I have group sales classes for $150. So if I was to make one sale, one coaching session for $25, it goes on the list, person's name, date, $25. If that person actually got a coaching session and bought a book, it's now a sale for $55. So it's not an itemized per piece, it's just itemized per sale. One invoice, on it goes, right? If you've got a membership, I'm going to look at you, Peter, at the moment, because you were talking about it this morning, right? Yours is kind of like a membership retainer type thing with the stuff you do. Yep. So every month an invoice goes out. So if you've got one client, then every month you'll have 12 sales. Get yourself 25 clients, right? 20 clients, because that's one a week for 4 weeks, one a day, weekdays for 4 days. 20 clients every month if they pay. Now you've got your 250 clients. Sales. It only took 25 clients, but you'll end up with your 250 sales, right? So there's a way to collect all of this, and it's about being able to see the sales as they come through. Often we don't notice the membership sales coming through because we go, oh, that was before, so I need a new sale now. But the membership makes up a lot of what can sit in the background of actual sales and being work done. And I'm going to use Peter as an example again. It's just as much effort to keep the client, right, as it was to get them the first time. Yeah. So if Peter's gone to the effort to get the client and get them on that monthly, to keep them each month, he's still got to keep them the next month. I don't know if anyone here is a network marketer, but we can use a network marketer as an example. So if you're a network marketer, you'll be nodding going, yeah, I get it. But if you're not, you'll also be going, oh, I can see how that works. Many network marketers, let's go down the health industry, right? So there's many network marketing companies that sell a health product. It could be LifeVantage with Protandim, it could be ASEA with Redox, right? So any one of those, Isogenics with whatever their weight loss system is, right? Get a client on one of those, they tend to go for a month, but if the consultant doesn't keep in contact with the client that's signed up for a month, how are you going? Is it working? How are you feeling? If they don't talk to them, then they tend to drop off the next month or 2 months later. And the consultant says it's because they didn't understand the products. Or maybe it was because they weren't working hard enough to look after their clients as well. So tracking system is important. So first off, it's a math problem. Second, tracking. Make sure you've got a really simple tracking system. All right, step number 3 is this. Stop multitasking. If you didn't sell today, there's a pretty good chance you're multitasking too many things. But there's only 2 things in sales that we multitask. One is the products that we sell. And 2 is how many we want to sell over the course of the day. So if you sell, well, I sell 3 things. Let me have a look. Adam, what do you sell?
I sell two programs.
Okay. Are you like a business coach? We haven't met, so I'm just asking. Are you a business coach?
No,
or
no, I'm not. I probably see myself more as a trainer / consultant. Yeah, so
okay.
both, yeah. So I've got a 4-part program that I run, and it's kind of starts off as a coaching style thing, and then moves into a training program.
So you sell 2 things. Any chance do you sell coaching sessions, individual coaching sessions?
I do, but I haven't.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I'd like to, but I haven't.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you can't, just means that you haven't, right? Because they tend to go into the program. All right. And for anyone that might be a coach of any industry, a health coach, a life coach, a business coach, eventually get to move out of that space of doing free discovery calls, and you get to move into an initial consultation. Think of yourself like a doctor, right? An initial consultation costs money. If I have a sore throat, I can call up the doctors and say, I've got a sore throat. The receptionist will say, I'll just book you in with the doctor. And I can say, but I don't want to spend $80. What will she say? I can't help you. You either pay the $80 and get the information, or you don't, right? So all coaches get to earn the right to move into the consultation space, where when somebody wants to ask them a couple of questions in regards to them and their business, the coach that's listening to them gets to charge money for that as well, right? So initial consultation is kind of like an initial coaching session. So again, you'll have that. My guess, if you sell a program, probably have that available, but no one might be using it yet. But so let's use Adam as the example. So he's got 3 things to sell. Which one does he pick? How do you do it? I mean, if you've got more than one thing to sell, now which one do you sell? And if you sell a consultation, but you want to actually sell the package, do you just sell the package and not the consultation? Or do you get the consultation, and we'll move into the package? How do you do it, right? So multitasking items becomes a problem. That's why we get into trouble with selling. We've got too many items that we're trying to sell all of them at once. Neville, I know that you're like a therapist, right? Is it just therapy sessions you do, or is it something else?
Sure. Yes, there is something else.
Right. So you've got something other than just therapy sessions, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Neville does that, therapy sessions, and something else. And it might be, is it group stuff?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've got two different branches of the business that are quite separate.
That's right, you do, because you coach therapists, correct? With their business, right? And I know that when you come out networking, you actually mostly, I think you've been saying the other therapists, so you've been doing the therapy stuff and you've dropped the coaching stuff, right?
Yep. It got very confusing to sit there and
to
try
do both. Yeah. And truth be told, as I knew you more as the therapist that taught therapists, because it was the last thing that you said. Even though the first thing that you said was the therapist, oh yeah, I should remember that. And then you go into the other one and go, oh, and now I've lost it. So the audience tends to, oh God, I can't really remember. I'll come back to Neville. And that's how it works. How did Neville not sell? I'll come back to him. Because somebody else becomes easy to talk about. So if you talk it to one thing, pick one thing to talk about, then it becomes easier to sell, right? And the other side is multitasking, how many you're going to sell over the course of the day, right? I say one, just sell one. On the first day, it doesn't seem like many sales. But if you learn to consistently sell one every day for a year, you've got 250 sales. quick question. Has anyone seen anyone else do 250 sales over the course of the year? Isn't that interesting? We all want something bigger. We'll easily take, well, if I said, who would be happy with just one sale every day? I think you'd struggle to put your hand up because you want more than one, right? But if I said, who'd be happy with 250, hands go up, which is only one sale per day. And you've got the weekend off. So it's about consistently being able to do this every day for a long time. So now we're going to move into permission. I'm going to give you all permission to sell one thing once per day. That's it. You sell it at 9 o'clock in the morning. Seriously, take the rest of your sales day off. You might do other work, but take the rest of your sales day off. Don't work so hard to go for another sale. I run a class called the Sales Edge, and it's about how to sell one thing every day for a year. And we have our tracking system. And I've pushed the tracking system really hard. And a couple of weeks ago, I got so enamored by the whole thing. Let's see if I can beat my record. I've done 10, I've done 13. Can I get to 14? That's 2 a day. All right, can I get to 21? I ended up with 18 by the end of the week. I'm like, yes, 18 sales by the end of the week, right? Across 7 days. I did 7 days. 18 at the end of the week, which puts me 11 days in front. I haven't sold anything for 3 weeks. And that becomes the problem. You get so exhausted doing the first thing and so excited by it that you sit down, take a breather, and then realize weeks later, shit, I haven't done anything. I've done all the work that leads to sales except for the actual sales work. And then I've forgotten and gone, God, where did it all go? Was I just stopped doing it? So if you sell one thing, then stop. Go do something else work related, but leave the sale alone and plan to sell one tomorrow. It puts you in the habit of practicing. Let's look at going to the gym. All right. Someone, let's see. Well, put your hand up. So whoever's going to answer this one, right? Is it better maybe you'll do it. Is it better if you want to get fit, to work out, say, for 3 15-minute sessions over the course of the week, which is 45 minutes over the course of the week, or 1 hour for an hour and a half session once a week? It's the consistency of just keep turning up, right? You turn up once a week, you have yourself, let's say just for an hour, or even an hour and a half, and you're so exhausted and tired that you can't move for the next 5 days, and then you've got 1 day to recover, and then you go back, but you're not any further in front. Whereas if you practice if you are practicing 15 minutes 3 times a week, every second day, you get fitter and stronger, and it all works for you because of the consistency of keeping little bits of practice over and over. And that's really what selling one per day is all about. Now, a sale of 1 per day doesn't always mean that you'll convert it, but it's about doing the practice towards the sale. The other reason I say only decide to do 1 per day, all right, who's had this? All you have to do is make 10 phone calls a day. 10 phone calls a day to sell something, like 10 or 20, just do extra phone calls and then you'll do it. So we get caught up with the thought of, my God, I have to make 10 phone calls. If you're still in the first phone call, you don't have to make any more. That's done, right? You do have to make a number of calls to end up with where you need to be. But what can happen is you can start to, if you book in meetings, really, the phone call gives you the meeting gives you the opportunity to sell. If you decide to make all these phone calls, say 10 phone calls, and then book in meetings, and you book in more than 1 meeting per day, say 2 meetings or 3 meetings per day, then depending on how long the first one takes, if it's running longer than you were expecting, but you feel like you're nearly there at the end, you either have to chop them off to go to the next one, you start to panic because the next one's coming in, you run it late thinking that's okay, I've got time, but then you'll start to panic again. So in the end, the multitasking comes into play. You've got too many competing agendas on any one day to do it. I'll tell you a quick little story, right? Over in America, this is a number of years ago, right? It's about, 15 or so years ago. There was this a real estate agent over in Miami who worked at this real estate company, and they only sold the most expensive apartments in the whole of Miami on the most expensive street in Miami. Now, what would happen is it was him and 4 other staff members, right? and they only had to deal with foot traffic. That's it. So anyone who walked in and said, I want to live on that street and I've got the cash and I'm ready to move today, that was their client, right? And these are multi-million-dollar apartments. He said on average it took each of the four that this guy worked with, to sell a place, say, once every 100 days. Let's say once every 3 months they sold an apartment. I mean, let's face it, it's multi-million dollars. You wouldn't expect it to sell every day, right? One every day. They dealt with the same amount of clients, right? So they all got the same amount. So if 5 people walked in, they got 1 each. If 10 people walked in, they got 2 each, right? So he said, so you wouldn't expect them to sell one every day. And it took about 3 months on average to sell one, except for the other guy, right? So 4 sold one every 3 months. The other guy sold 30 a month. So he sold 1 a day, and they sold 1 every 3 months. Now, if you first look at those numbers, if he's selling 1 a day, that means he's collected, well, let's go 25. He's collected, let's do 30, right? He's collected 30 clients in 1 month, which means the others have collected 30 clients in a month. So in 3 months, he's collected 90 clients. In 3 months, they've collected 90 clients. So they've collected the same amount of clients. He's converted 90 in 3 months. They've converted 1 each, which means of the 90, the other 4 have sold 1 but lost 89. What's the difference? The difference becomes something really simple, and it's to do with multitasking. This guy only dealt with the superstar salesman, only dealt with 1 person per day. And you've got me all day. We're finding you a place today, or that's it. And so however long it took, he found that place. They found it. He dealt with it once. The next day someone comes in and he goes, I'll deal with you. So if he booked appointments, he didn't book 2 on one day. He booked 1 per day, and that was it. The others have gone, oh, well, I've got 5 clients, so I'll book them in, see what they want, take them around for a little bit, and then I'll see if they want to go at it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. The guy said, no, I'm only going to do 1 a day. The other difference was in the multitasking of options. You have too many options for a client, the client becomes overwhelmed and they can't pick, right? So clients either suffer from bright and shiny syndrome, which is overwhelm, right? Or bright and shiny syndrome. Oh my God, I'm so excited by all these options. I can't pick. It's going to take me a long time. Or overwhelm. Oh my God, there's so many choices. What if I pick the wrong one? Oh my God, I can't pick, right? Whereas this guy wouldn't let them pick anything. He would sit there. So the others would say, okay, so what have you looked at? What do you know about us? What have you looked at? What would you like? I mean, these are people who are standing there with cash in their hand, right? Ready to go today, right? So he gave them options. And whereas the superstar salesman, he said, why do you want to move? One guy said, well, I've got vintage cars and I don't like the security at the garage. Great. And that's important. Is there any other reason for moving? No, the rest of the place was great. I just didn't like the security for the garage. Great. No problems. He goes through his books and he goes, I've got the place for you. The guy says, the place? And he said, yeah, I found the place with the best security for cars. And he goes, well, aren't we going to look at a few of them? He goes, no. We only need the one with the best security. We're good to go, right? So he'd go in, he'd spend an hour showing them how to use the security system. If the guy likes security system, he's like, I suppose I should show you the apartment. Someone else said, I like to work out in the gym and I don't want to walk anywhere. Great, let me go through and find the one that the gym's in the building. Which one's got the best gym? They got one choice based off what they said they wanted. So they weren't given choices. No overwhelm. No bright and shiny syndrome. Technically, customer could have overwhelmed themselves. They could have looked it all up by themselves. But they didn't. They walked into an office to get an expert's help. And so that's how we treated them. So if we have a look, if we track back, by doing 1 sale per day, the expert salesman decided 1 sale per day. When I get it, I'll take the rest of the day off. And I'll just deal with the next appointment tomorrow. So it's about setting up 1 sales appointment per day. So you have the opportunity to sell to that one person. And so you have time to listen to them, find out why they called you, what that was all about as well. But the reward becomes 1 every day. over time, one every day, every year, 250 sales, right? For you, Bernice, if you were to do this, you'd have staff, a lot of staff. Just a quick question, put your hand up. Does anyone work in an office with other people, or is the boss and has staff underneath, or you all work for yourself as a sole trader? All right, let me ask, it's two different questions. Who's a sole trader? Put your hand up. So for Peter, I know Peter works with his mates, so there's two there. So I'm just looking. Phil, what do you do?
I do IT support.
Okay, and is it just you, or do you have staff?
It's myself and two other staff, or two other techs, plus office admin and bookkeeping.
Yeah, okay. All right. So based off that, office admin and things like that, but you do the sales side and they do the techie side, right?
Yeah.
So you could handle the one client per day thing while they do the techie work. And technically, Denise, that's where you'd end up if that's what you wanted. You can handle 250 clients in a year. You just don't have them lined up on your door to know, truly.
Yeah.
But if they were lined up, you'd just come up with a way to deal with it. Problem is, most of us, we don't have it. We don't have someone knock on our door and we open it up and go, oh, there's 250 people. All right, let me come up with a plan. Right? So one of the things we do, why we didn't sell today, but we still want to sell tomorrow, is we overwhelm ourselves with a problem that doesn't exist yet. What if I get really popular and everybody wants to hire me? Wait to get that problem and then you can deal with it. All right. So moving on, let's have a quick look. What's stopping us from selling today? What stopped us from selling today? All right. So if you want to sell tomorrow, we need to know what's stopping us today. This is a bit where everybody gets to put their 2 cents worth in. Feel free to write it in the chat, but this is where you get to blame everything. Everything. So let's go around, unmute, and guys, unmute and just start calling out some ideas. Bernice, what would stop you from what's one thing to stop you from selling?
Approaching people in the first place half the time.
Okay, yep, yours is approaching people, so general fear of approaching people. Neville, what would stop you? What can stop you getting away?
The money question.
The money question, right? People asking the money question. Yep, that's a big one. Adam, what stops you from selling?
Oh, leads.
Leads, okay. Quick question, put your hand up. Who's got kids? All right, I know Peter's got one. He's got a new baby. Bet that one gets under your feet. She doesn't even crawl yet. She'll get under your feet, right? You'll get up in the morning, you'll take one look at her, fall in love all over again and go, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to make any calls today. And it's as simple as that, right? So family life, kids will get under your feet, right? Who's got parents? Who's got older parents? I don't know, as parents get older, they become more trouble. First the kids are trouble and then the parents become trouble, right? So then we've got parents, we've got kids, we've got parents. All right, might have some siblings who run into a bit of trouble or just want to have your time. I had someone earlier today who said, oh, my sister needed me for something, but I'm trying to do something else. All right, who lives in a house and sometimes needs to cook dinner? Right, so we've got cooking, we've got cleaning, we've got the laundry, we've got kids, we've got parents, we've got, stuff, schedules. Got to get around doing some things and maybe the car breaks down or the internet turns itself off. So there's all these excuses. We get to blame everything here, everything. I'm not here to stop you from blaming. In fact, you can blame as many things as you like. I'm not looking to change that. All we have to know is this big long list of things, right? I mean, what about this one? Just mostly customers are just rubbish. Why won't they just buy? Why are they so difficult? Why do they take so long to just... Why do I have to follow up with them like 17 times? I mean, they said they wanted it, and yet you still have to run around for them, right? So there's another excuse and reason, and it's valid, right? So I'm not here to say you've got to overcome these excuses. You don't. You just have to live with them. You just have to know that all these excuses are real, and it's called life. We're not looking to get out of life when we run business. We're actually looking to enjoy life, but enjoy this thing, this work thing that we actually like to. Put your hand up if you've started your own job and you hate it. No one's got their hand up. Isn't that interesting, right? So if you don't hate it, you get to do it. You just have to work out how to put it in around life, right? So if you didn't sell today, but you want to sell tomorrow, maybe it's not the math problem. Maybe it's not the multitasking. Maybe it's simply just life got in the way and I'm struggling to work out how to do the life thing and get a little bit of my stuff done as well, because everybody else has competing agendas and wants my time. That's going to happen, right? So from that, I'm going to make selling really, really easy, right? Put your hand up if you've ever done the grocery shopping before. All right, just going through screens, waiting to say, oh, yep, there you go. Morris's hand went up. Yep, even Lana's got hers up, right? Right, so everyone's been to the grocery store, bought a couple of groceries. All right, put your hand up if you've ever gone to the grocery store with the intention of buying one thing, let's say coffee, right? A block of chocolate would be mine, but let's call it coffee or milk, right? And then left with a full grocery bag of stuff that costs over $50. Look at this, hands are going up. I'm not even finished. Costs over $50, right? I could go the other way. Put your hand up if that's never happened to you before. Isn't that interesting? It's happened to everybody, right? Ah, Maurice, you're very cool. Do you go to the store or do you buy online? You're on mute.
At the bottom.
No, I go to the store.
Because otherwise I go out and troll the shops.
Go to the store. Okay.
I've definitely bought extra things, but not $50 worth if I'm going in for one thing.
But yeah, you go in for one thing and you go, God damn, right? Have you ever stood there going, how did this happen? I'll tell you how it happens, right? The stuff very silently sat on the shelf with their price.
Talks to you.
It didn't. It sat there in silence. It never spoke. And we bought it. We carried it to the counter. We put it in the basket. We made up excuses and thoughts. And we even said to ourselves, I know that I shouldn't, but I really need it. It would save me. We have these other ones. If I get it now, I don't have to get it later. This will save me coming down later, getting attracted to other things. Of course, we get to the checkout, right? And except for Maurice, who's probably gone, $20? And everyone else is going, $50? All right. So here's what happens. When we get to the checkout, and it's more than we expected than the one grocery item, right? But they're going, oh my God. And I'm going to use 50 as the example. $50 is what we're saying to the checkout, but we're not actually saying it out loud. It's in our head. $50, how did this happen? We're probably even saying this. I object to paying that much. I only come in for coffee. I object, right? So it sounds like an objection, right? Traditional sales training teaches customers object, and they object to everything. And as a salesman, your job is to overcome the objections. New age sales training teaches this. There are no objections, they're all comments. An objection is, I object to getting all of this stuff, I'm just buying the coffee and leaving. And then they leave everything behind. Put your hand up if you've done that before. You're right. So we've talked about, Lana has, there you go. I bet it's very rare, but there you go. Lana put her hand up. It's very rare, right? That you object so much that you leave it all behind and you leave without it, right? So we don't object. We do complain very loudly, maybe about objecting to ourselves. I mean, we could object to the checkout operator. What's she going to do about it? Or we would object very loudly to the, do-it-yourself console. But I mean, it's just sitting there looking at you going, just, and you look like a nutcase, right? So you say it in your head. So you don't say it out loud, right? And we buy the stuff anyway. So if we as consumers...
Especially now Woolies have cameras.
So if we now as consumers can just go in, find something that sits silently with its price and buy it, complain all day long at the checkout about spending the cash, but buy it anyway, then understand that's exactly how every person buys. If you understand how people buy, then you can sell. Notice all you have to do is say what it is that you sell and how much it costs, and then stand around quietly while the other person throws a tantrum, and then picks themselves up and makes a decision moving forward. So how you sell is, every day, is you practice saying what it is that you want to sell and how much it costs. And then silently stand there and listen to someone complain about it. Let them get it all out of their system. Who with kids has experienced this, that one of the kids has thrown a tantrum because, I don't know, let's say you've turned the internet off, or you've told them it's time to get in the shower, get off media, right? Or you've given broccoli on their plate and they've thrown a tantrum over that. I don't want to eat it, right? And they've thrown a tantrum, right? Some days you argue with them. Other days you go, I'm not arguing. Eat it, don't eat it. I don't care. I've cooked it. It's sitting there now, right? It's not coming off your plate. You're either eating it or it's staying on your plate until it goes into the dishwasher, right? So in either case, you get to the point of not arguing. They throw their tantrum until finally they just sit there and eat around the broccoli and move on. You get to do that the same with customers. Traditional sales training would teach this. When a customer objects to the price, it's a salesman's problem, and it's a salesman's problem to fix. UH sales training says if a customer objects to the price, it's the customer's problem and the customer's problem to fix. I mean, if someone says, I don't have any money, you can only take it at face value. You can't make it exist if it doesn't. And everybody I've ever asked, they don't like it when people say, I'll tell you how you can get the money. Who likes that? Who likes it when somebody says to them, hey, I'll tell you how to get the money. Do you like coffee? Give up a coffee a day. Coffee a day? But I like my coffee. Like it's either or the other. I talked to someone earlier today. She used to be in class many years ago. She said, I knew you were going to say something. But I was talking to her about liquid collagen. She sells liquid collagen. And I said, I think I'm ready to give that a go. How much does it cost? And she said, for 60 days, $300. For 40 days, $200. I thought, Jesus Christ. I said, talk about health being so expensive. And she said, well, how much do you spend on groceries? And straight away, it's like, why are you talking to me about my groceries? I made a comment about health. And she said, I said, you're going to suggest to me taking a little bit out of the groceries. It's $5 per day to have liquid collagen. I said, if you just take out $5 per day from your grocery budget and put it into my health. So what you're saying is, I'm the mom, I've got 2 boys and a husband, right? And dogs. So I said, so what you're saying is, I should just miss 1 meal a day in order to have the money from the budget to defer into my health. Is that what you're saying? That I should, because it's for my health, it's not for the others, so I should lose a meal a day to look after my health. Well, now I've got the choice, don't I? Do I want to lose a meal a day? But let's say as a mom, moms will often do this. Children are so fussy that you cook them a meal and then you change it and change it and change it. The budget becomes too much for food. That you tend to lose a meal a day in the efforts to pay for all the extras, trying to fit in with everybody's ideas of what they want to eat. So if you're already running on 2 meals a day, not the normal 3, and then someone suggests lose a meal a day, like cut out some more of the budget to put towards health. I mean, if you're running on like the possibility of 1 meal a day and my health in this area, or 2 meals a day and don't worry about the health, customer gets the pick, right? So as salesmen, it doesn't work if we decide to give ideas on how someone can get money. But I want you to know this. When it comes to selling, it doesn't matter if the price is high, low, or free. The first time someone hears the price, they're going to complain, oh my God, why? Why is it that? And since they're going to have a negative response, might as well get used to it. You've got 2 answers. Get to write these down. Here's your 2 answers. For the I'd love to, but I don't have any money, you've got 1 answer. Here it is. I understand exactly how you feel. That's it. Because we've all been there. And now it puts, you've heard them, acknowledgement on the table, and give them back their problem. It's not for you to fix. I'll work it out. We do it every day at the groceries. Let's take me with the liquid collagen. Oh my God, $200, I don't want to spend that. But now I get to decide, well, what do I want? I'll find the money somewhere. It's not coming out of groceries though. It might come out of something else, but it won't be the groceries, right? And that's a problem that you pay as a salesman. If you give them an idea of where the money could come from, you'll most likely pick the wrong idea and they won't like it, right? The other line is this one. $200 for liquid collagen? Oh my God, what are you joking? I would never do that. And all the salesman has to say is, I know, crazy, isn't it? Jesus Christ, health costs so much money. I know, crazy, isn't it? Do people actually pay that? I know, crazy, isn't it? Seriously, how does the company get away with it? I know, crazy, isn't it? does the job though, right? I mean, people pay because it does the job. I know, crazy, isn't it? That line works for just about everything. You've either got, I understand how you feel, or I know, crazy, isn't it? And they eventually talk themselves through it in their head and end up doing whatever it is that they need to do. They might not be quite ready to buy just yet today because it wasn't quite what they expected, but it doesn't mean the idea is out of their head and they're never going to buy either. So I'm going to do a quick recap and then quickly ask questions, I suppose, or if anyone's got ideas, you put your hand up. So the quick recap is this, right? So first off, it's a math problem. Just decide how many sales do you want, but we've already established one a day for 250 days would be lovely. So that allows for consistency, right? Tracking, have a tracking sheet so that you can write it down. When a sale goes on, you can look at it and go, oh, I don't need to do any more today, or at least I sold today. But if you miss a day and you didn't sell yesterday, it's not about going back and going, well, I didn't sell yesterday, I need to sell 2 today. It's 1 a day, that's it. By the end of 250 days, you work it out, right? You get better. At the beginning, there'll be days where you haven't sold anything, or maybe 1 a week. And then sometimes you get a snowball where a few come in all at once as well. So it's not about backtracking. It's just about just knowing, where are you today? Think of Kaizen steps. It's only a little bit each day. For anyone who's seen Anne of Green Gables, her line was this: tomorrow's brand new with no mistakes. If you didn't sell today, it's all right. Tomorrow's brand new, no mistakes. Get to start again. Learn to sell 1 tomorrow, but you don't have to, I now need to do 2 because I missed 1. Otherwise, you'll never catch up. It doesn't work that way. You do it today, pack the day away. If you didn't do it, start again tomorrow. Every day is separate, right? And some days it's like winning lotto. You just get a bunch coming all at once. It's just how it is because of all the leading to there, right? So step number 3 was about stopping multitasking. Pick one thing to sell and only deal with one person per day in that sales space. I mean, if someone calls you, you can do the next sales call, but you don't have to go out trying to find the next sales call if you've already done one today. You can do it tomorrow, right? So I give you permission to sell 1 thing per day. Just we'll learn to do it consistently over time, right? So it's about little things, right? So you don't overwhelm yourself and you don't go, oh, I sold so many, I can have a break. And then you forget to get up again, all right? And then start the ball going all over again. So we looked at what's getting in our way. We've got all the excuses in the world. They're valid. They're absolutely valid. No excuse is a bad excuse. They all are real, and it is part of life. And we just have to we have to allow those to be real reasons and put that thing that we want to sell into play as well. So we all like our jobs, so we get to do that as well. We get to have all these reasons and get to find space for this thing that we want to do. And how we find space is we simplify it. Practice saying what it is and how much it costs, and listening to other people complain about the price, and just enjoy the complaint, knowing that you're closer to making that sale. Let them just complain about it until they get over it, and they'll ask you more questions. Right? So that's how we get to sell tomorrow and every other day. Questions?
I think there's a question in the chat room from Alicia.
Right.
What if instead of money, they say they don't have enough time?
I know, crazy, isn't it? Don't worry, it all works the same. I know, crazy, isn't it? You give the problem that they come up with, you give it back to them in a way that you've heard it and you agree. I'd love to buy it. Money's not a problem. I just don't have time to implement it. I know, crazy, isn't it? And now they've got 2 choices. To either work out the time or not do it. And here's the thing, if they choose not to do it because they don't have the time, they shouldn't be buying it because they don't have the time to use it properly. Otherwise, you end up with a customer that's bought something that they can't say great things about because they bought it at the wrong time. You don't want to encourage someone to buy something before they're ready. They don't become a great fan. It would be really good if I had the time to use it. You don't want that customer. You want them to be available. And understand this. Nobody is without the opportunity to follow up. We've heard the line, fortune is in the follow-up. It's not wrong. We all have the opportunity to follow up, right? And the person you don't get the opportunity to follow up on, let's say you're standing at the checkout and you're waiting for your turn. You say, wow, looks like you're going to be here for a while. What did you do today? And someone said something, and then you tell them what you did. Yeah, I've got this great job. I love it. I'm a sales trainer. I get to help all these people sell whatever it is that they sell. I love it. Everybody increases their sales. Let's say the person in front said, oh my God, I need help with that. Yeah, no problems. I could give them a card. I can tell them that they can call me. But honestly, I don't know who they are and they don't know who I am. So the opportunity is there, but it's not really, right? The practice, the ability to say it, it's still left up to them. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not like you're collecting their details. Why don't you give me details? I'll give you a call later. Oh, no. Take my card, right? So the opportunity is there, but at the same time, it's left up to the other person. So it's not really a sale, just an opportunity, right? That could come back at some point. Maurice, you got your hand up?
I do. I think Vern also had her hand up. Happy to go first.
No, you're good. Maurice, I'll come back to Vern. I know, because I'm flicking from screen to screen.
Okay. I suppose more of a clarifying question, which is that, well, first of all, thank you. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in here that's sort of eliminated a lot of unnecessary anxiety that I don't need to be experiencing, which has been really useful, and I'm curious to see how it goes when applied. The thing that came to mind for me is it's, I suppose, a lot easier if people have voiced their right. They're like, clearly I am ready to buy, like in your example of the real estate agent, like the people came in and they're ready to buy, like they're sort of already committed. How do you navigate that sort of in betweeny space where they're sort of like, oh, they're looking, they're not sure, and to help them on, like, I guess the education piece that comes just before the, okay, well, now I'm ready to buy.
Okay, I got it. Here it is, right? If someone's come to you asking questions, right? It means that they've found you. Out of everyone else on the planet that sells something similar, they've found you. They're not really looking to go elsewhere. They're coming to you. I mean, even when they say, how much does it cost because I'm checking prices, it's only between you and someone else, right? Right? So all you can do is deliver, this is how much it costs. And it comes down to that. There is an opportunity. So in a sale, there is an opportunity for the salesman to speak, but it's after the customer has exhausted themselves of all of their questions. How much does it cost? It costs, let's say, we've got a guy that I know, Glenn Kirkwood, he's a cleaner, right? So he has a cleaning business. He used to do end of lease clean. So if you want your bond back, where, let's say in Sydney, they charge $1,000 on average for an end of lease clean, he charges $2,500, let's say $3,000, right? So he charges exceptionally more, right? So people call up and say, how much does it cost to clean my place because I want the bond back? He said, it starts at $3,000. $3,000? Fuck off, mate. You must be joking. Like, I found another guy at $1,000. Here's what Glenn says. You should go with him. He'll do a really good job. You'll get your bond back. And now the person's stuck because the salesman has gone, he's not trying to sell. It's like, wow, what's the difference between a $1,000 coin and a $3,000 coin? They ask, all right, well, if you're $3,000 and he's 1,000, what's the difference between the two? He says, honestly, I don't know. Right. So now they're stuck with having to make their own decision based off price. And you know that there's a difference between 1,000 and 3, right? Surely there's more than just the price, right? Now you have to work out, what is it and what do I really want, right? Let's say the customer decides, yeah, I think I'll go with the other guy. Glenn says, no problems. He said, they'll do a great job. I tell you what, I'll be your plan B. If that guy treats you bad, come back to me. I'll get my guys out. If that guy gets sick or gets COVID, come to me. I'll send my crew out. We'll get it done on the day that you need it. Doesn't matter if it's a second's notice. I'll send someone out. I'll be your plan B. And then he sends the guy on his way. He said it takes about 3 weeks. They change their mind. You know what? I'm a bit unsure about this guy. He's trying to convince me of all these things. You ain't convinced me of anything. So there is a way on how to do it that allows the customer to make a more informed decision on you, the person that's selling to them, not based off the products and services, but you, the person. Truth is, in most of the time, we want to give money to the nicest person in the room, not just anyone, right? So there is a way. It does come down to practice, but at the beginning, the first practice becomes say what it is, say your price, and accept whatever answers comes from the customer. A lot of answers I have are in my book, How to Go From No Sales to Sales, in 5 easy steps, because I go through all of this. It's only a 5-step system, which includes the follow-up or the plan B. So different gentle ways to speak to a person that allows a person to make their own informed decision. So for anyone, if you want help with that, it's five chapters. It's 5 classes in one. It's $30. You can only get it from me, so just chuck it in the chat box or just email or just write, I want a book. And I'll just send it out, put it out in the post for you, send an invoice. But that covers a lot of that, which allows you a lot of practice. And it's got practice exercises. You literally get to do it over dinner with somebody. Beat the salesman. And so you get good practicing before you end up with a customer as well. So there are some ways. But other times it could be $3,000. Oh my God, the other guy's $1,000. Yeah, he'll do a really good job. Yeah, okay. I'm not really sure what to do now, but thanks for the information. If a customer's not buying straight away, thanks for the information. Now, as a salesman, you get to ask questions. Just before you go, can I just ask you a quick question? Was it about price or was it about outcome? They'll always say it's about price. Excellent. What were you looking to spend? Yeah, okay. So basically, and what were you looking to achieve? And so when you get the price that they want to spend and what are they looking to achieve, you'll often hear that what they want to achieve isn't done in the same price range. They just don't know the difference, right? So let's take Glenn as an example. All right, the guy goes, well, look, 1,000 to 3,000, there's a huge difference. I'm not sure if I want that guy though, because I'm not sure what he does. So that's why I found you. All right, thanks for the information. Not sure what I'm doing yet. Thanks for the information. Glenn gets to ask. Is it about price? Is it about outcome? Well, it is about price. Okay, what are you looking to achieve? Well, I wanted to move out on this particular day and I've got this time frame and I've got this and this has to move and then this has to be done and this has to be done and I want the bond back. And then I'm moving overseas. I need the cash like within a week and moving overseas. Right, based off what you've just said, that's a very fast clean. You need it done like tomorrow. That's a $4,000 clean with me. Right. It's now done on time frame, not necessarily I can't book you in 3 weeks' time. It's now done on time frame. So Glenn could do that. Whereas the other guys, they go, right, so if I need something done really instantly, I need to go back to the other guy and find out, are they available tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah, go find out. Are they available tomorrow and how much will that cost for them to come in and do that? I'll tell you with me, it's $4,000. Okay, right? So it still allows the customer to make an informed decision, but based not on price now, but on what they actually wanted to achieve. And they didn't realize that what they wanted to achieve comes at a different price than just the estimated cost. So there are ways to speak to a customer. If we salesmen just settle down and let the customer get their words out first. Customer wants to treat us like Google. We go to Google, we type in a question, Google answers it. Who's experienced this? Just put your hand up. Who's put in a question to Google before, not got an answer anywhere near what you wanted? And you've gone, damn you, Google, I'm going to have to ask a different question. Who's experienced that before, right? So while we complain at the computer sits there silently while we come up with a better question. So that's exactly how the customer wants the salesman to behave. You don't have to explain your answer or interpret it, the question. You just have to answer it on face value. How much does it cost? $1,000. Oh, that's nothing like what I expected. I know, crazy, right? Just let the customer deal with that. They're looking to interpret the answer their own way. They're not looking for an explanation. But it comes down to practice, right? The more we practice, more people we speak to, the more practice we get. And then the sales start to roll through a lot easier. Vern. So does that help you, Maurice? Vern, you've got a question?
It helps us. Yeah, it helps me too. Clarifying question. The one sale a day, if we don't close the sale, it's okay. Is that what you're saying?
It's okay. I want you to write this down. Everybody write this down. More people aren't buying than are buying. Who's ever heard that before? It's amazing, isn't it? Has anyone ever worked in retail? Worked in a shop? And they say, just sell to the people who walk in the door. If they didn't want anything, they wouldn't have walked in. Okay, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've worked in retail many years, many different retail stores. That's untrue. I mean, all of us can just wander around aimlessly while we're filling in time. There's only two places that you're going to that no matter what you're buying. One is a place that's got food and drink. Because unless you want to eat something, you're not going in, right? And the other place is a petrol station. You're not going there unless you want fuel. You're just not getting out of the car, right? After that, everything is just wandering around, right? With the opportunity to sell. The secret becomes not to sell to the people that walked in the room. Get them to walk in the room. So if someone came to you, Vern, and said, I'm thinking about getting a will, it's an opportunity. It's closer than nothing, but they still are just getting, this salesman becomes the last section of Google, like the last bit of research that they're looking for before they make an informed decision. Sometimes they make a decision on the spot. Sometimes they do not, because they're still not quite ready yet. You know, the person that I was speaking to in regards to the collagen, right? I said, see, I know what it is. I don't need convincing. I know what it is that I want to do. I know what the collagen will do. I know what I want to achieve. I just don't want to do what I want to achieve. I don't want to spend the cash to achieve the goal. I want the goal, but without the sale of the cash. So I'm going to sit there and I promise I'll put it in and out of the checkout for a couple of, for about a week or two, wondering if each time I put it in, maybe it'll just come less in price. It won't. I know this. I'll still do it a number of times before I make a solid decision because I know what I want to do. I just don't want to do what I want to do. It's like losing weight. They say, it's hard to lose weight because, you have to stop eating chocolate or chocolate double-coated Tim Tams that are half price at Woolworths. You can't eat those anymore. We don't stop eating them because it's hard. We don't stop eating them because we don't want to. And we're just hoping that if I eat them, and the more that I eat because they were half price, right, it won't count. And yet we know that that's insane, but we're just hoping that maybe there'll be a glitch in the system somewhere. But it's got nothing to do with willpower. It's just we don't want to. We'd rather eat the Tim Tams more than fit into the dress. Although when the day comes around to fit into the dress, we kind of wish we hadn't eaten the Tim Tams. But we just don't want to do it yet. And that's usually why we end up with help. We get someone to hold our hands so that they're doing it with us. I think Gandhi, was it Gandhi, the guy over in Africa? I think it was India. Was it Indian?
India, yeah.
There was a story. Who's heard this story? Where a mother stood in line all day long out in the sun waiting to get to Gandhi and said, when she gets there, she's got her son, and she said, you need to tell him to stop eating sweets. He's not to eat the sweets. He eats the sweets. It turns into a liar. He's stealing them from everybody and he's eating the sugar and he's not a nice boy. You need to tell him to stop. Gandhi says, come back in 2 weeks. Okay. 2 weeks later, she stands in line all day in the sun with her son, right? Hot and everything else, gets to the front of the line and said, you told me to come back after 2 weeks. You told me, he's to stop eating the sweets. He turns into a liar and all this. So you need to tell him to stop. You said, come back in 2 weeks. He said, yes, I remember you. And he looks at the boy and he says, don't eat the sweets. And the mum goes, oh my God, that's it? He said, yes. She said, you couldn't do that 2 weeks ago. He goes, no. 2 weeks ago, I was eating sweets. Right? So you can't get people to do what they don't want to do. You just have to wait till they're ready to do it. The secret becomes talk to more people in general or get your name known by more people. But when someone comes to you, they're already more than halfway across the line. They came to you, they're halfway across the line, but there's still a moment where they lose confidence in themselves with spending money. So you get to know that you're available for follow-up. And again, different class on follow-up, but it's they're not gone. They're just on hold a little bit. They'll pull themselves back. We've all done it. We've all decided not to buy something, going, I'll just get it anyway, right?
And the problem with our category is everyone procrastinate so long that never end up doing a proper will. That's a problem.
Here becomes a secret.
Yeah.
Just tell them the price. Tell everyone here right now, how much does it cost to get a will? It starts at what price?
$229.
$229. $229. Yeah, $229. That's it. If you don't have a will, $229. Right? You can either die and someone can fight over your stuff, or you can die and have it already sorted out. Or even better, you can go onto life support and have no one in charge of turning you on or off, Or you can put someone in charge, right? That's why you want a will. Maybe the stuff isn't that important, but you've got to tell them that for $229, if you get really sick, that you're in hospital, that you can't make decisions, who do you want in charge? Anyone or no one? Who do you want? Because it's one of two choices. Either anyone will make a decision for you, or maybe no one's allowed to make a decision. You get to die for no reason because you didn't put someone in charge. And now for $229, that's what you're selling. Someone to be in charge of you if you get really sick. Who's it going to be? And now we have a reason to do a will. You work out what's the component that makes someone move. I don't want no one in charge. They might pick the wrong thing, right? So there you go. All right. So everything is sold. We just have to work out what's the component that gets someone across the line. All right. But it starts with just tell them the price. Plant the seeds. Let them think about it, because they'll talk themselves into it most of the time. All right. Any more questions? I know, Polina, what happened to time? What were you supposed to do?
Here, this is a virtual world, so anything goes. There's no rules here. But thank you, Misty. It's been absolutely fantastic.
24/7, right? I mean, we've got like forever, right?
Exactly. For those
We could have an all-night sleepover if we wanted to.
Exactly. For those that don't know. For those that don't know, Misty runs Business at Breakfast every Thursday at 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. I'm usually there at 10 if you want to see me there too. Otherwise, Misty does amazing sales classes, and they run a few times a week. So if you can't come to one, you can go to the other. So reach out to her, go to those classes, because you'll definitely get the value, or just buy the book. It's fantastic. I've got the book, and I think it is the best thing. And if I can't turn up to class, it's definitely in the book. I just don't
It's
get
so
to
funny,
practice.
right? Because I have people get the book and they go, oh my God, it's like he's sitting on my shoulder and whispering in my ear, and I can't turn it off. And I go, that's exactly the book. And then I have others say, someone wanted to borrow it. I can't let them borrow it. Like, I can't, they need to get their own. Like, I can't let them have it now, because I need to go back and look at it. So it's done as a reference guide. It's like, you'll keep going back to it.
So buy yourself an early Christmas present, get the book, and then by next year you'll be a great salesman. Otherwise, for those that haven't been here before, we welcome you back. Or if you want to join the Business Gym, the link is in the chat. We also have a Facebook group called the Business Gym. Please join us, and also don't be shy. Write posts, comment on things. Don't just watch things, because that's like in sales. Don't be like that.